rev up your engines. Today I'm going to talk about 5 SUVs that you should never buy used, because many of them were bad enough when they were brand new. Now SUVs are getting more and more popular because you can hold stuff in them, they're very handy, and they ride pretty good these days. The early ones are kind of bumpy, but they make them a lot better now. Well, some of them are made a lot better. Here are 5 SUVs that you should never buy used. Now the first SUV never to buy used is the BMW X5. You might as well say BMW money pit. That's all those things turn into. They've had problems with engine oil leaks, water leaking into the vehicle, big time transmission problems, and problems with their stability control systems that keep them from flipping over because they're so boxy. Yeah, they're high tech, there's no arguing that, but I've had customers with them that they got this gyroscopic sensor that goes bad, and it's a little bitty thing, but whew, it's going to cost like $1,800 for this stupid thing. They're just high priced, and it's not like they're high quality. There's so much plastic used in those things, they're always getting leaks. I had one customer with an X5, told her, "You shouldn't have bought this thing used. They're money pits." Well, after a year of driving the thing, and finally I put in my BMW computer for her latest problem, and it was the transmission was going out. I did a real research and found out that it was going to cost her $4 or $5 grand minimum to fix it. So she finally got rid of the thing. She traded it in on a used Lexus SUV. Boy, she's happy with that Lexus. That was years ago, and she's still driving a Lexus. I hardly ever see her because the things don't break, just normal oil changes and brake job stuff on those. And of course, BMW is so snobby, they didn't even call the X5 a sports utility vehicle. They called it a sports activity vehicle. Well, yeah, because you can spend a lot of activity going to the BMW dealer getting the thing fixed. Now, the next SUV not to buy is a Cadillac Escalade. Now, if you want to impress your friends and neighbors that you're driving a Cadillac SUV and you don't care that you get 11 miles per gallon in actual driving, the Cadillac Escalade might be for you. It's a showboat. A lot of that showboating stuff is made out of plastic. And guess what? It cracks early, breaks down. They're known for heating and air conditioning problems. You might think, oh, that's not that big of a deal. It's all computerized, and believe me, I've seen people spend $1,500, $2,500 taking the dashes apart, fixing those stupid plastic monstrosities. They have problems with the dash and instrument display systems on them. Just cheaply made, and they'll just come on and off at will. Poorly made, there's no doubting that. They have early transmission failures. And all-wheel drive versions, they have differential problems that cost a fortune to fix. It's a big, heavy vehicle, but the internals are not heavy-duty enough. They just break down too much from carrying all that weight around. Cadillac has been using that Cadillac top-of-the-line imagery for decades. Well, it's been a long time since that was even close to the truth. Now, the next SUV not to buy is the Jeep Renegade. The Renegade was created after Chrysler and Fiat merged. Fiat bought Chrysler. The Renegade is small. It's underpowered. And if you attempted to take that Jeep Renegade off-road, like one of those big Jeeps, good luck. These Jeep Renegades, they're made in Italy, they're made in Brazil, and they're made in China. They have absolutely nothing to do with the legendary Jeep. Especially stay away from the 2015 Renegade. That was the worst one they ever built. They have engine failures. They have transmission failures. They have electronic failures. The list goes on and on and on. It's like a litany of Italian manufacturing problems. Not surprisingly, the Renegades have a lot of electronic problems. Many Italian cars have electronic weak systems. That's just the way they go. Also has a problem with blowing head gaskets in the engine, a typical problem that Italian cars have. And now, if you want to get a Jeep, I'm not that big of a fan of the newer ones. The old ones are great. But if you are, get a regular one. Definitely don't get this pipsqueak. Now, the fourth SUV not to buy used is the Chevy Traverse. I've seen engines seized up on ones that had 40-something thousand miles on them. The all-wheel drive system is notorious for having problems and costing thousands of dollars to fix. I mean, if a vehicle has engine and transmission problems, pretty much that says, stay away. Stay far away from this vehicle. I mean, I had a customer with a Traverse. It kept flashing up service all-wheel drive, then it said Super Cruise system. Well, this car didn't have a Super Cruise system, yet it was saying there was a problem in the system that didn't even exist on the vehicle. And the GM dealer couldn't figure out what was wrong. He just lived with that until he got rid of it. He said it was the biggest pile of junk he ever had, and he's never going to buy another one. The last SUV never to buy used is the Pontiac Aztek. It was made famous in Breaking Bad, where Bryan Cranston drove one around, and eventually he took it to a garage. They fixed it all up. He came to pick it up. He looked at it and took his hat out of the back seat, put it on his head, and walked away and gave the car to the mechanic. I had a customer that did a similar thing with an Aztek. The thing had like 55,000 miles on it, and the head gasket blew, and the engine seized up. So he had to put another engine in. So he said, the heck with that. He had a used engine put in, and then he just sold the thing and got rid of it and said, that's it for GM, I'm never buying another one of their products. Basically, the Azteks were GM's version of trying to copy a Toyota Matrix, and man, did they fail miserably. The Azteks actually had hordes of different problems, but the biggest ones were the head gaskets, the engine's going, the transmission's going out, and having intake manifolds that would go bad and leak oil and water into the engine. And if you didn't watch that closely, that would lead to a blown engine too. And even if you caught it right in the beginning, you had to take the whole engine apart and spend like $1,500 to fix something that should have never happened in the first place. Because I'm not talking about cars that are 20 or 30 years old. Some of these cars were less than a year old, and some of them were 3 or 4 or 5 years old. But regardless, they were poorly made vehicles. They don't make them anymore, obviously. Now, if you want to get a Pontiac SUV, get a Pontiac Vibe. It's the same thing as this Matrix. They were made in the same plant. They have the same engine, transmission, wheels, and everything. The only thing different is the sheet metal on the vehicles. So that one you can get because it's actually a Toyota product, really. Showing that the expression, what's in a name, can mean an awful lot. You want to research what's behind that name. Sure, there's plenty of good used SUVs out there, but stay away from these 5 SUVs if you don't want to catch a sports utility virus. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.